Can't take the pressure, sign it. Gotta have your shit together, don't sign it. They be cracking under pressure, sign it. Sign it. Yeah, look, this the toughest environment, screaming. If you ain't got a source and you reaching, this the home of consciousness and communication. This the toughest environment, screaming. Yeah, they can't take the pressure, sign it. You gotta have your shit together, don't sign it. They be cracking under pressure, sign it. Sign it. Yeah, yeah. This the toughest environment, screaming. If you ain't got a source and you reaching, this the home of consciousness and communication. This the toughest environment, screaming. A clay pot to a priestess. Knowledge took a hold of my mind, I seek the origin. Workers are connected to go from brothers to partisans. Tell me your agenda, the purpose of your historian. We just kicking knowledge to push our people to war again. Battles for the mind of the youth who ask questions. God's son still in the flesh, that's our letter. Being is the enemy, knowing I know nothing. Get it off your chest when I call, don't start running. When you in that hot seat, nigga, don't start bugging. Put you in that back chat, that's that thuggin'. Sounding like a whole lot of faith that won't cut it. Waiting for the next episode, straight out of Harlem. I was planting seeds on the corner, just trying to blossom. Thoughts in the mind of our people to lead a garden, nigga. Yeah, they can't take the pressure, sign it. Gotta have your shit together, don't sign it. They be cracking under pressure, sign it. Sign it, yeah.
Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Hotep, namaste, Jambo, Ashe, Shalom, Shalom. All the greetings of love and light to the darkest minds of the light. I am Napashida. You are on the R.I.S E channel. Reality is simulated existence. You are in the HOK. You're probably on one of the two channels, Sonnetter Studios or Napashida, the R.I.S E channel. Either one, please hit the like, subscribe if you haven't. If you don't mind, it doesn't take much. Go between both channels in the network and subscribe to both. Also, subscribe to Alchemizing Energy and Smoking Conversations with Sakina Ra. Yeah. Peace to my sisters on the panel, the Visionaries. Go ahead and introduce yourselves. I'm going to start with Genesis. And also let the people know what we're going to be talking about today. I did put the title, but I'm going to let you go ahead and explain it. Anyone out there? Hello, hello. Am I coming in clear?
Okay. Hey, yeah. So welcome. I'm DJ Genesis. And actually my page is switched from Alchemizing Energy back to DJ Genesis Detroit. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here. And
what are we going to talk about tonight?
So we are talking about, like, it's kind of a sidebar that kind of happened from yesterday's show where we were talking about, we were talking about the Scientology community.
No, scientism.
Scientism community. And I kind of the biggest point I was trying to make is that how we demonize our own African practices and our own original and mystic and old practices like divination. And then other people will come in and exploit those things and do things like create the existing system that you use every day. And they get all big money to do so. And so I was trying to bring on Baba Yashabaya because he was the one who even introduced me to the concept. I'm trying to get him to get the link and come up. But yeah, that's what I wanted to show.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. It's going to be interesting, family. Those out there who do practice the ancient spiritual practices and religions, this might be very interesting to you. And if you do both, as well as respect and subscribe to mainstream academic science, this should be especially interesting, this information that Genesis has to present. Peace to my sister, Queen Sakina Ra. How are you, Queen? Please introduce yourself. You're muted.
Uncle Mayad, everybody. Thank you so much for having me again. I am Sakina Ra. And I have good news and bad news. So I was able to actually get a web for some information that I was able to pull from the Let the Ancestors Speak. So that's going to provide a copy for everybody, but it's going to be a purchase PDF if anybody wants to download it. But I do have a visionary this style. Okay. So because I do have it, again, it's on another computer, but I did have this form right here. So you'll be able to blow it up on the screen. And
okay, yeah. Let me show it. Let me hold on. What do you want to do on that one?
We're going to be able to go through the numeral part later. And then I'll be able to show it. And again, I would like to give honors to Dr. Anika Ozazi Daniels, or Daniels Ozazi, because she actually taught me the Medunetter classes. And so this is going to be part of something that's going to be discussed inside of this. And so this is, I'll hold it up a little closer.
Okay.
Right. And so as we go through it, again, I'll have a link that I'll drop it down, because this book is actually probably about $1,000 now. At least between $500 to $1,000, $500 to $1,000, if not so. It was that much when we were taught the class. Again, I'm interested in what DJ Genesis is talking about again. But again, the Medunetter is very interesting. It's a very tedious and strategic course. It's not just something that you would want to, or even you have to really learn, and it gets into calligraphy, it gets into drawing, it gets into all of that. So the nouns, pronouns, and all of this goes into all of that. So it's something you really, really have to pay attention to. And it's not something you really take lightly. For one word has various understandings. So if you know shorthand, then you can really follow through with this. So
thank you, Queen. So does this, you guys talked about this yesterday post show. I'm talking to Genesis. What she's presenting, does this ring any bells with you as far as the information that you also have?
Well, as far as the numeral chart, the only thing I from some of it with lines, but some of these other characters, no, because it got deeper than that when it got into the construction. So where he went in, I'm gonna say no.
Okay. Peace and love to you. Love you, Benita. My sister Benita's in the chat. Congratulations to her prince, her son, her king, her young king who graduated. I saw that on Facebook. Just want to shout her out and her family. Her wonderful husband.
Yes.
I got to bring them on because they got their relationship goals.
Come on.
So let's get right to it. Without further ado, the title of the stream is The Exploitation of Ancient Cultures, Spiritualities, and Science and Sciences, because there are ancient sciences. Mainstream academic science is not the only science. We talked about that yesterday. But what's happening with these ancient sciences are they're being exploited by Western capitalists. So I will drop the link in a minute. You can join and add add to the build after we see what the groundwork the sister's going to lay down. All right, Genesis, I'm gonna
Yeah,
get this.
I'm trying to get Baba in. He's saying it's not letting him come in or something like that. I don't know.
Oh wow. Doesn't he use StreamYard with you?
Yeah, he does use StreamYard with me. But I'm about to so I sent so you're okay. Hold on, let me just figure this out real quick. But I'm about to break this down. So EFI is a divination system that has existed for 2,500 years, or more. I would say even more older than that. You know, and so what has happened is that it has existed. This was also a part of. It was a combination of the Nile Valley civilization priesthood with the Babalaos, and it's also a part. The people migrated from like I think it's the Nubians that migrated from Sudan over to West Africa. So they were priests in that whole Nile Valley civilization. So they brought that priesthood over to Nigeria, and it actually that's where that particular divination system came into play. Now, throughout Africa, there are several types of divination systems. Most cultures have a divination system that goes along with the culture, and that's how they pretty much diagnose things. And so there's two types of divination. There is like the kind of divination like tarot, or even like dream interpretation. Some people, which I would say are spiritists, but divination in itself is more of something of I would say an algorithm. So EFI divination, all these different things are an algorithm. You put a value in, you get a value out. And what the Babalaos were able to do was to basically do this is there's a whole system where you put information, you put a number in, and you get a song, you get like it's usually like a verse out from that. So they didn't read their verses like a Bible from front to back. It was more or less you throw, and then this is what the response back, and then that response is if it resonates with you, and then that would be what your situation would be at the time.
Okay, so stop right there, because this is where I need you to really get more detailed on that, because even with me, when we were doing the AI thing, it was still a little bit confusing. I couldn't see it clearly. This sounds very interesting. So before you just move past that, can you just give us more like details or even some examples on how that works? Because what she's saying is this is how our holy writings with the Bible, this, according to EFA, this is their holy system of consulting God, right, Genesis?
Not necessarily God.
Or God.
It would be the actual spirit of information. Yeah, it's like Arunmila. So, but the EFA is the word, right? So you know how you have the word of God. EFA is the word. However, you don't just read it straight through. You will go to a person that could interpret it according to what you need or what's going on in your life. It's an individual thing, not necessarily, but also there's also understanding that there is a individual reading, there's a community reading, there's a for the world at large. People, there's different levels of doing reading. So for instance, a Babalao might do a reading for you, he might do a reading for the house, then there's a reading for the community, then there's a reading for the country, then there's a reading for so everything is a microcosm affects the macrocosm. Everything's all working together that so they do readings for everything, for different things, to find out what's the outcome. So people don't go into situations blind. They know what to expect. They know that there's going to be some calamity. There's going to be some issues. And so they either do certain things to avoid those issues so that they can still be able to move forward. But you basically, you don't, it's never a culture of like you going into a situation unaware. You understand what I'm saying? So, and it was an ancient diagnosis system. So how if you go to a doctor comes in, checks certain things, and then a lot of times based on those symptoms, they say, okay, you should use this pharmaceutical, to try this. A lot of times doctors are going back to either they're going back to a book or they're typing into a search engine what pharmaceutical to prescribe you. It's a similar system to that, So what I was trying to show is that in this particular thing, there's a guy named Ron English, and he did this project called African. He wrote a book called African Fractals, and what he did was he got a Fulbright scholarship to go over to Africa and to study the patterns of African villages, all these different patterns that happen in Africa from a geometrical, mathematical standpoint. And he was able to discover a lot. So I wanted to play this. Will I be able to play that? Did you ask on, is everything okay to play this? Okay. Go ahead and play this real quick so that you guys can get an idea of what I'm talking about, and then we'll go deeper into the E5 and how what this is actually saying.
So I tracked down one of the folks who makes these things. This guy in Mali, just outside of Bamako.
Okay, pause it for 1 second. Just one second.
And his answer was very interesting.
Okay. Let me just get my fair use thing up here.
Okay.
And if you could speed it up a little, I know that we can, but YouTube is so weird with us. So, some people can do it and then we do it and YouTube. So I want you to just, go through it with the commentary. Like, don't just let it roll.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And I'm going to get the fair use. Okay, great. All right, sis. Go ahead.
All right, so basically, like I said, is that he went into Africa and he was able to basically find different patterns within Africa, how they set up their towns, how they did their textiles, all these different patterns, and then he realized that there was a similarity in other geometrical shapes when it comes down into a lot of these patterns and fractals and things like that. So let's go right here.
He said, well, if I lived in the jungle, I would only use the long rows of straw because they're very quick and they're very cheap. Doesn't take much time, doesn't take much straw. He said, but wind and dust goes through pretty easily. Now, the tight rows up at the very top, they really hold out the wind and dust, but it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of straw because they're really, really tight. Now, he said, we know from experience that the farther up from the ground you go, the stronger the wind blows, right? It's just like
I might be asking for other people too. What does he mean by that? Like the straw? Is that what is he talking about?
He's basically talking about how they actually designed these using straw. So even the patterns in which they actually design things and set things up, or there's a pattern to it. And so this guy went in and studied so many different patterns, how Africans like built their houses and like I said, created different things, created their textiles, created all different stuff. How they wove things together, and he realized that it was a specific design that they were using, you know what I'm saying, and there were these fractals and all these different patterns and optimal design. And what is going to end up happening is that this guy does all this research into what African people are doing. And all this is all based in mathematics, geometry. I mean, it's a lot of math going into this stuff, but a lot of it's hidden. They tried to hide it, but this guy broke the code or whatever. Next thing you know, now we have binary systems. He's able to connect all these things into the binary system, the binary code of computing and
modern. And I want you to start it up again, but I do want to add this. There's a disadvantage and there's also an advantage. Because in the old days, like decades ago, they could go in and take all this information from the native indigenous people and pass it off as their own. But because we're so informed and the age of information, and we are well aware of how they do things, we have people like Genesis and everyone else exposing the exploitation. So I just wanted to add that. So.
Let me add something right quick. Now, are we saying because people prior to this, because we know that 2,500 years after this this round disc that the Ibu people or the the Oshun people found that now that this lifestyle, right? Because again, if we say the Kemetic people, right, that they knew according to this lifestyle, right? Because I'm not going to get into it just yet, but they knew they were farmers, right? And so if they walked it the way they talked it, this is how I talk. So according to the rise of the fall of the Hopi River, aka now, they knew when it would rise and when it would fall, and they tracked this. So they knew when to harvest and when not to harvest, and so they tracked it. And I have this right here, like this. And because of this way that they created this system, and then later on, another tribe or what have you found this system and they utilized it, and now somebody else came and utilized it, and everybody can make it their own way. That's what we call recipes now, right? Science has a recipe too. And so now we're saying that this man said whichever way the wind blow, and we know that if the wind blow across sand, they call it sand combing. But now we saying what?
Okay, what we're saying is that okay, this guy got a $7 million a Fulbright scholarship. He got a grant to come over to Africa and study African culture, not just Nigerian, not just the Oshun people, but he went all over Africa, all over the continent of Africa, especially mainly West Africa. And he studied patterns, he studied divination systems. He studied the math of how Africans do things.
I'm just saying, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want you to get back to your video too. I don't want it to get too far away.
Yeah, so I was about to go into that, and what he found was a lot of math. He found geometric patterns and everything. See, people think that people are just doing stuff, but what he found is that a lot of there's a lot of African origins of a lot of mathematical systems that exist today, and he was able to prove it by going there and finding these ancient systems that people are still using today, and connect them to the current processes in modern computing that we're using now, and say this is what, and even like the old people that get like touted as the forefathers of modern binary systems, he's able to say, okay, no, this existed even before that through just the divination system alone, and then he's able to show that. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it. So you want me to go start over? Or you want me to
no. Keep it going. You explain the sand and the straw, so let's just keep going.
Cost benefit analysis, and like measured out the lengths of straw, put it on a log plot, got the scaling exponent, and it almost exactly matches the scaling exponent for the relationship between wind speed and height in the wind engineering handbook. So these guys are right.
So basically he's saying is that the people that created these things have it exactly right, and these engineers have a whole engineering handbook that breaks down wind speed and this, that, the other. These people were able to do it without even all the calculators and things like that they used in all the formulas and all that stuff that they're using. They're just doing it naturally through however they know how to do it.
Interesting.
Right on target for a practical use of scaling technology. The most complex example of an algorithmic approach to fractals that I found was actually not in geometry. It was in a symbolic code. And this was Bamana sand divination. And the same divination system is found all over Africa. You can find on the East Coast as well as the West Coast. And often the symbols are very well preserved. So each of these symbols has 4 bits. It's a 4-bit binary word. You draw these lines in the sand randomly. And then you count off. And if it's an odd number, you put down 1 stroke. And if it's an even number, you put down 2 stroke. And they did this.
Hello. I need you to just quickly, when he says 4-bit and shows us that little symbol, what does he exactly mean by that?
Well, 4-bit, so you have how many, a certain amount of bits in a byte and all this other stuff. So all these things are what is used to encode, and it's basically it's how many. I think it's like a. Let me see. What is that? What exactly is a bit versus a byte? A bit. What is a bit?
But this is something that they've been doing for thousands of years.
It's a binary digit. It's a unit of digital information. So the smallest unit of data a computer can process and store. And it
they
can only be one or
have this
two
in the
values,
sand?
0 or 1. Go ahead.
And they have this in the sand. They're doing it.
Yeah, so what they're doing is just divination, right? So basically, when you go to a Babalao or you go to a priest, right, and they're doing whether cowrie shell divination, sand divination, any divination, they're basically doing a binary, like a
Okay,
they're,
I
they're
got you.
getting a number. They're throwing out a certain thing, getting a certain response back
Got
based on a 0 and a binary system.
Got it. So SAR said also a small measure of info, like what you're saying. So now we know that they have these measures of information that they're using in the sand, a 4-bit measure of 4 bits of measures of information. So okay, go ahead. I just wanted to jump in. I want to be as quick as possible. So
this is about I mean, when I showed it to you, it probably I'm not gonna play this whole video. Just
no,
this part.
I know. Just I want to see this part. So please keep on.
Yeah,
this is interesting.
Very rapidly. And I couldn't understand where they were getting, they only did the randomness 4 times. I couldn't understand where they were getting the other 12 symbols. And they wouldn't tell me. They said, no, I can't tell you about this. I said, well, look, I'll pay you. You can be my teacher and I'll come each day and pay you. I said, it's not a matter of money. This is a religious matter. And finally, out of desperation, I said, well, let me explain George Cantor in 1877. And I started explaining why it was there in Africa. And they got very excited when they saw the Cantor set.
So have you noticed that they don't even know why he's there? He's up there talking about a religious system. And he's talking to a Babalao and getting a reading done, and he sees this connection between modern technology and bits and bytes and computing, and as this person is doing this divination, and he's there on a Fulbright scholarship, by the way, to study, everything, to study these fractals. Okay, he gets a divination from a Babalao. He sees a pattern even in the divination. He starts to talk to them. Said, "Well, how can you teach me how to do this?" Babalao says, "No. This is what the priests do here. This is a religious thing. You got to go through an initiation and da da da." So he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, can I pay you some money?" No. And finally, he explains the reason why he's there. Oh, okay. Well, George Cantor, he's in modern computing and blah 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 blah. And of course, it's like, okay, that's cool. That's great to know, but I'm still not going to tell you how to do it. But let's go.
And one of them said, come here, I think I can help you out here.
One of them
so he took me through
here's the thing. This is how it always happens. One of them said, because he's talking to them, and they're like, no, we can't tell you how to do it. One of them said, come on.
Because he heard the part about giving them some money.
You know what I'm saying?
Sad.
All right. Okay. So now you see how they get you, Yeah. So hey, give them some money, right?
Initiation ritual for a Brahmana priest. And of course, I was only interested in the math. So the whole time he kept shaking his head going, I didn't learn it this way. But I had to sleep with a cola nut next to my bed, buried in sand, and give 7 coins to 7 lepers. And
so he had to get initiated to learn the system.
Even when the guy was being money hungry, he still told him, you got to go through the ritual to be able to do it.
And he didn't take the initiation serious. He just did what he had to do to get the information. And they're showing, that part of, go ahead, yeah.
No, but that's amazing that even the guy who was going on the side, like, I'll show you, but he said, but you still, he didn't just say, oh, it's this. He took him through the ritual to be able to obtain the information in the spiritual ritual. Even though he didn't take it seriously, he still had to do the initiation. That's amazing.
Yeah, they're not going to just get, you got to, because this is their religion, this is their beliefs, That's how, and they have a certain way that they do it in the community. So,
that's interesting. This is great. Go ahead.
Yep.
And so on. And finally, he revealed the truth of the matter. And it turns out it's a pseudo-random number generator. They're using deterministic chaos. When you have a 4-bit symbol, you then put it together with another one sideways. So even plus odd gives you odd. Odd plus even gives you odd. Even plus even gives you even. Odd plus odd gives you even.
So he only got one hand of V5. He didn't get both hands. So that's why he can only, the guy only told him about one hand. Okay. And so
what that means. What does that mean?
Okay. So in the Odu Ifa, you have one hand and you have 2 hands. And so there's different, there's a masculine and feminine side, It's masculine, feminine, light, dark, lightness, light, dark, masculine, feminine, 4 cardinal points. There's all kinds.
So that you mean duality, like in Kemet with Ma'at,
Yes.
I think the scales.
Yes. So when they
one hand, he only saw one side of the scale.
Exactly. So they only showed him one side. They didn't show him the other side, because when they actually do the divination, they do both. You see here, right? You see this. This is the actual Odu Ifa, and when you get the divination, they throw 8 shells.
Okay,
he only showed him how to do the 4 shells.
Come back to this for us and go back to the video. This is very interesting. To those who are familiar with this, I'm not. I find this interesting, but to those who are familiar with this is pretty good information. Seeing that capitalism is capitalizing and exploiting this. If it's so pseudo, why is he making $7 million off of it and coming all the way out there with the full scholarship to examine it?
And Fulbright has been around for like years. I mean, just and it's a part of the government. They send people over to do Fulbright to go to different places for different, I guess, and on those scholarships. And it's a part of like the university system. They send people over to different countries to do research and this, that, the other, and they come back. They write papers, they write books. So he ended up writing a book called African Fractals.
Oh, this is amazing. Okay, keep going, please.
Okay.
It's addition modulo 2, just like in the parity bit check on your computer. And then you take this symbol and you put it back in. So it's a self-generating diversity of symbols. They're truly using a kind of deterministic chaos in doing this. Now, because it's a binary code, you can actually implement this in hardware. What a fantastic teaching tool that should be in African engineering schools. And the most interesting thing I found out about it was historical. In the 12th century, Hugo of Santillana brought it from Islamic mystics into Spain. And there it entered into the alchemy community as geomancy, the divination through the earth. This is a geomantic chart drawn by for King Richard II in 1390.
We gotta stay on that. That's all that pseudo. You can't just go skim past here. This mainstream scientist of mainstream academic science talking about all this juicy pseudo stuff. You got
right. Oh yeah, right. Oh, he works at I think he works for the University of Michigan.
Yeah, he's talking about geomancy, alchemy. I mean, what? I thought that was goofball pseudo stuff.
And he went and got initiated into the priesthood just to get more information to be able to further do.
Wait a minute, Genesis. You mean a respected scholar and scientist became a pseudo so he could get pseudo information and bring it back to academia?
And then create a whole book called African Fractals, and now he's able to also create programming based on those algorithms.
And how much money did he make off of it?
So far, $7 million. I think he's made more now. He gets grants almost every year.
Over $7 million on this practice. Go ahead, Sakina, and then we're going to get back to the video. This is great. I'm glad you brought this out. Go ahead, Sakina.
Okay, so one thing I want to say is that it's a lot of mathematical words in here. First of all, we're going into the divination, right? And so that's all about dividing anyway. And I'm not going to bring up any of my papers yet. So, and then this geomancy, which is geometry, right? Then we were talking about divisions and multiplying and subtracting from this addition, from the beginning of adding. And again, when science goes with math, because I worked in the college for a few years, and science goes with math all day long, all day strong. And we know this. If we don't, we need to look that up. But these numbers and some of this stuff that he's saying is all about that business again. So I get where he going with that, but this two-handed overplay or whatever he tried to do, and the way he's saying it is throwing me off, or maybe I'm not getting it because or maybe I do get it because you saying he took it to put it in a computer system. That's what I'm kind of wait to see how that happened.
Okay, yeah. Let's look at.
Okay, so I think he kind of explained it already. What he did was when he went to the Babalawo and initially saw the divination method, he was already studying African patterns, even how they set their towns up. That it's based on fractals. Okay. Okay. Do you guys know what a fractal is?
Well, I know what fractal is. Now, when you say fractals, are you saying fractals compared to math, like fractions?
You know how you ever seen those things, those patterns that you zoom? It looks like it's like rigid, but then you zoom in, and it looks like it's the same thing, and the same thing, and the same thing, and the same. You know, the more you zoom in, it looks the same.
Oh, that's what a like when you see a mirror, and then another mirror, and then another mirror. And that's called a fractal. I didn't know that.
Yeah, or you ever see? It look like a circle, and then you zoom in, and it might be rigid, and then
I'm gonna get the
same circle.
Definition. Yeah. Because over here we try to learn, right? We don't just be cinnamon toastinary. Shout out to Queen's Throne for actually giving me that little joke. I got to say that because it was funny that time. Okay, so let's see. I just know fractal meaning to just break and then go into little compartments. But a fractal design, in geometric shapes. Okay, yeah, again, let me get that. That's good. I need to see that. Because I thought you just meant fractaling, like breaking apart into different shapes. I mean, different compartments.
Right.
Let's see. So yes, Wikipedia was the first thing that came up, but we're just getting the definition. Fractal in mathematics. A fractal is a geometric shape containing detailed structure at arbitrarily small scales, usually having a fractal dimension strictly exceeding the topological dimension. Many fractals appear similar at various scales. Oh, that's what that's called. You know what? I sometimes use that example. I'll say a mirror within a mirror within a mirror within a mirror.
Yeah. He has a book called African Fractals.
Oh, wow.
So he basically saying everything that they do in the African culture has a pattern that is based on geometry, mathematics, and science. It's like a mathematical thing that when you plug it into actually modern day things, these things are existing and it's matching up to the modern day stuff. And you would be surprised, like, oh, okay, well, just this, even in them basket weaving something, if you go do the math on it, it's a deeper thing. That if you look into an engineering school and they'll be doing some kind of turbine thing for a plane, and it'll be the same kind of a layout, and their math will be right on point, exactly correct. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, look at this.
Right, because puzzles come in fractal pieces. People do things in pieces and they get paid by pieces, like in the Milwaukee School of Engineering and things of that nature. So this is why you say in fractals and fractions.
Okay, thank you both ladies. Let me read this. Thank you, sisters, queens. Thank you. Visionaries. Yes, please hit the like button, everybody. This is what I see. So I learned this. I'm so good. See, I love it. I'm so glad I got this. So the history of fractals traces a path from chiefly theoretical studies to modern applications in computer graphics. Okay. With several notable people contributing canonical fractal forms along the way. So this right here on the side, a Cook snowflake is a fractal that begins with an with the equilateral triangle. So let's see the equilateral triangle. It's equal on all sides. Do you see the triangle or no?
Mm-hmm.
And then replaces the middle third of every line segment with the pair of line segments that form an equilateral bump. Okay, so this is not like the mirror within the mirror within the mirror, though. This is more of the computer graphics application, right?
Yes.
And so when it goes from the triangle, I got to get a grasp on this. Look at this right here, everyone. A common theme in traditional African architecture. Wow, exactly. This is blowing my mind.
And the cities are laid out like this. So whereas European cities are laid out in a grid pattern, in Africa and like all throughout Africa, their cities are laid out in this pattern, in this fractal pattern.
Oh, this is such good information. Okay. See,
and so he went over to study that. Like he has actual pictures from above looking down. Like
wait, before you go. Don't go to him yet. This also applies to the pyramids.
yeah. Yep.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, guys, this is great. Okay, y'all are probably like, duh, the coconut just fell on my head. No. This is great. Wow, this we got to revisit this. Because I said I was going to do the other show, but anyway, let me just read the rest a little bit more of this. Genesis did say that about the villages, it says such as circular villages made of circular houses. According to Pickover, the mathematics behind fractals began to take shape in the 17th century when the mathematician and philosopher Gottfried Leibniz pondered recursive self-similarity, although he made the mistake of thinking that only the straight line was self-similar in this sense. So that's where we talk about that reflection within a reflection within a reflection.
Right.
Oh, because we have the houses. Ooh, Genesis, you made me think of these new houses that they're doing. Oh my gosh.
Those, what are you talking about? Those like the tent things that they have out in Arizona?
What they're called. It's a weird name.
Those round
Cob
things.
houses.
What are they called?
Cob houses.
No. Oh man.
Let me see if I
They
can
have
find
them at Burning Man. They have them at Burning Man.
Damn.
Book houses.
I'm looking too because my friend told me about it, and I was like, "What kind of house is that?"
Oh, I don't know.
Damn, I don't know, y'all. This is really good. This is good information. It's actually more interesting than I'm gonna be honest, than I thought it would be, because I thought it was gonna be kind of like over my head. And it is over my head, but it's interesting. Anyway, I can't remember the name of the house, but they're building them in Africa. They look like they're free form shaped houses. Y'all, anybody in the chat know what? Is this what it is? A villa? This might be it. Is this it?
Villa Villages.
It's a different name. I don't know what it's called, but anyway, you can get back to your presentation. I'm sorry. Really good stuff, though, Erwin.
Hold on, let me show. I was going to show you. I didn't.
Go ahead. You were going to show me you found it, because I'm trying to look for this message that my friend sent me like 3 months ago, talking about we're going to move to Africa and we're building these type of houses, and I was like, "What is that?" And so this probably is. Hit the like button, everybody. What? Why can't I find it? Anyway, this is good. Thank you for bringing this up.
Because I know they used to have it wasn't just in Africa, but a lot of them had the cob houses. They were all built almost alike, but differently. That's all I want to say about that. But they were like cob houses, the way they were built with the roofs. In Africa, they had the straw or the leaves and the mud and whatnot for the sides and have you. And in different other villages, they were made similar.
Here it is.
But
here it is. I got it. I found it.
They were still cob.
Tell me, where are you sharing?
Hold on. You talking about this?
No, wait. Let me stop sharing mine. Let me see. Kind of like that, but it looks way different.
It's called a geodesic dome.
It's like that. I'm gonna find it, but it looks like it's free form. Oh, and yeah. I think I found it. It's called it's free form, but it's something in that idea. King J, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I have. You actually posted it about the Villa Villages. Was that what they were in regards to talking about?
Yeah. Yep. The Villa Villages. That was. Hold on. Let me see if I can show you. The Bila architect. Hold on. Let me show.
I think that might be it. What you're saying.
But
also, real quick, I also had put in the chat. I had talked about hairstyles being a way to show some fractal designs. As well,
he goes into that. He had his book goes into that too. He breaks it down, the hairdos, how people braid their hair, I mean,
Mhm.
that fractal in Africa is used throughout the whole community,
Mhm.
like how they do
That's where
stuff.
that swirling pattern. Um,
Yes.
Yeah.
inward. It's kind of like in Kemet, where the center of that circle is the center of the universe. It's kind of,
Yes,
you know what
and
I'm
it's
saying?
also in one of the numbers. Yes, you're
Like,
absolutely right. It's part of the zero sign when you get into
mhm,
the number 10 and you start counting in the hundreds. And that's why I don't agree with what he said. But when he said wherever the wind blows, um, that kind of went with some of the sand duning, and when it writes when the sand blows, and some of that other stuff, because he didn't invent the zero pattern. But when we get into the number 10 and start building with the 100 systems and whatnot, then that zero that you're talking about, King J, yes. And so you're absolutely right.
I gotta find out this house now. I can't remember what they're called. It's a weird name that I couldn't remember. I forgot.
I know you said you got to do the other show, so I'm gonna hurry up and just play this.
No,
But yeah,
please go ahead. No, don't wait for me. Go ahead.
yeah. So basically, what happened is that there's that. So he talks about how the divination systems, they had the geomancy divination Bamana, uh, that was in Europe, and I think that was in Northern Europe. Hold on, let me see what he says here.
For King Richard II in 1390. Leibniz, the German mathematician, talked about geomancy in his dissertation called De Combinatoria. And he said, well, instead of using one stroke and two strokes, let's use a 1 and a 0. And we can count by powers of 2.
So basically what happened is that they took the divination system and then they came up with this binary system. This guy says, well, rather than using one stroke and two strokes, 0 and 1. And so that now you have that binary system beginning to take form. So the bottom line is that all this, that modern computing comes from the ancient divination systems of Africa. Okay, and ancient divination systems is a scientist, is a mathematical algorithm to get information from, you know what I'm saying, based on a certain number. Okay, and that's all a computer is doing when you go into a search engine, when you type into AI, when you type into anything, and all this is based on African and old and ancient systems. Okay, so let's go.
Right, 1s and 0s, the binary code. George Boole took Leibniz's binary code and created Boolean algebra, and John von Neumann took Boolean algebra and created the digital computer.
Okay, so you see, now do you see what happened? So they took that ancient divination system, came up with 0s and 1s, binary thing. Next thing you know, you have Boolean algebra. Then they took the Boolean algebra, and now you have a digital computer. So that's what I was trying to show. So when people want to like down old ancient practice, divination, that's pseudo. This is a lot of that pseudo ends up being the very thing that can influence the thing that even is down the line ends up being a very profound thing.
So all these
PDAs. And I just want to add real quickly, not even 10 seconds, and that is actually what real science is, opposed to scientism. Scientism is closed off. It's a belief. Real science is what he's actually doing. Even though he's exploiting, he's doing science, going out and exploring and finding out new ways, being innovative. Okay, thank you.
Right, and I'm not saying a computer isn't doing what. You're still on the search engine thing it's not doing the same thing that a diviner is doing when it basically gets a certain numerical value. A calculator does it. A lot of different computer types do this. You put in a value, you get an answer out. So I don't know what Cube is talking about. Let me stop.
And so you're saying you make the point that that's based off of this African, this code, the 1s and 0s.
Yeah, it's a binary code, and this binary system existed. They based all those things based on that binary system of divination.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go.
Yep.
These little PDAs and laptops, every digital circuit in the world started in Africa. And I know Brian Eno says there's not enough African computers, but I don't think there's enough African history in Brian Eno.
What does he mean by that?
Joke, probably a little joke.
Was that
He probably making
why
the
did they
point
start?
that
You know,
since the African code was made in Africa, then why there should be more
right?
technology
I
in
heard
Africa.
him, and I wonder why they start roaring with laughter, though.
Because he basically said that okay, all your PDAs. Well, let me rewind it and see what he said.
I don't think there's enough African history in Brian Eno.
Okay, let me go back on because I like kind of missed what he said. I don't think there's enough African history. Is that what he said?
He said, "Listen, he's saying I don't think there's enough Africans, you know, references in history. I don't know where the laughter is from, though.
I don't, you know, it's white.
All these little PDAs and lap.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Leibniz's binary code and created Boolean algebra, and John von Neumann took Boolean algebra and created the digital computer. So all these little PDAs and laptops, every digital circuit in the world started in Africa. And I know Brian Eno says there's not enough African in computers, but you know I don't think there's enough African history in Brian Eno.
Oh, I get it. The guy. He's talking about the guy.
There's not enough African
history in the particular guy.
Well, no, I think he's
no. He's saying.
I think he's trying to make the point that since this binary code is based off of African, history, that it should be more African technology, more African computers. That's what.
Yeah,
but basically, he's saying computers are African. He's saying if you know the history, it's African. But people say we need more African
about
computers.
The guy, you guys, you can slow it down. That was for me. Don't worry. He said, I don't think there's enough African history in Brian so and so. I wondered why they laughed. And they were joking. It was a joke. That's all I wanted to know, why they laughed. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep playing.
Oh, okay. I thought he meant okay. All right.
So let me end with just a few words about applications that we've found for this. And you can go to our website, the applet.
I'm not trying to promote his website.
Thank you.
I wanted to show his thing. So he got a postdoctorate. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're done with that video, thankfully. Thank you. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. But I'm showing this.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. A postdoctoral Fulbright in West and Central Africa allowed him a year to conduct ethnographic research, where he documented how the indigenous concepts of recursion created fractal patterns throughout African design practices. His book, African Fractals, Modern Computing and Indigenous Design, became a TED Talk with over 1.5 million views, a simulation used in math and computing education, and a broad influence in Black studies. Fractals inspired by English's work now appear in Black literature, such as Nandi Okorafor's Binti, in Afrofuturist arts, and even contemporary African architecture. Then he expanded his work to form a new discipline, ethnocomputing. He created his own discipline, ethnocomputing. With over $7 million in NSF funding, his suite of simulations, culturally situated design tools, have been used in U.S. schools from Alaska to Florida, as well as international locations to allow students to learn math and computing through heritage algorithms that include Navajo weaving patterns.
So not just Africans, the other side of the indigenous people in another continent.
Latino percussion ratios, cornrow braid iterations, and the nonlinear curves of urban graffiti.
That's wild.
So he's taken. Let me be quiet.
No, he what we're talking about, that's the topic. We're talking about from our assessment, our opinion, he is exploiting, because for me, I do think science should go out and do the experiments and go around to the indigenous people. I don't see where he's giving back to them, though. If you could show us where he's giving them the credit fully, not just saying, oh yeah, this is from them, and actually giving back to them in his research.
Exactly. And more so. Go ahead, King J.
Now, Paul, was that palace? Were you talking about the Bernie Palace earlier?
Say it again. I can't hear you.
The Bernie. Were you talking about the Bernie Palace earlier?
Oh, Burning Man. I didn't say that. Someone else said Burning Palace. I'm not familiar.
He was talking about that. Yeah, I think he did bring it up in this video because it's
So
two parts to it. Like it's the beginning where he breaks down the fractals and everything like that. He breaks down
yeah, is
the
that it right there?
Bernie Cameroon. Yep, yeah, man, you got a good
Yeah.
eye. Because I just showed that real quick. I didn't
Wait,
even
say
go.
it again. What happened?
Okay, here it goes.
Well, that palace is basically an example of a fractal.
This is fabulous. I wonder why. And of course, I
So
had to
say
go
it
to
again. What palace? What? I don't understand it. You got to teach me this.
This one right here.
In the middle.
Yeah, that design, how it's kind of smaller inside and it's expanding.
So
Would be an example
the
of it.
shapes, you mean how it's big and then it goes smaller and smaller and smaller?
But
In the
we would
center?
start. The idea is starting in the middle and it's expanding outward.
Oh, okay.
So when they design it, they design it from the inside out.
Interesting. Okay.
Like a hexagon, he said.
Why do they? What is their purpose of doing the fractal design when they do their? Is that all for spiritual energy? Like as far as when they say geometric design and geomancy, does that draw a certain energy? Is that why?
Yeah. Yes, I believe that a lot of like the they when they built their cities, a lot of people believe, it was a spiritual aspect to how they did things. You know, just like you have a lot of the Muslim architecture. You know, it has like a certain shape to it. Even in Egyptian, you have like different shapes, and they represent different aspects. So,
Okay.
whether it be masculine, feminine, etc.
Okay, I'll let you get back to this. You were reading. Were you finished reading that article?
Yeah, I was finished reading. I just was really mainly showing that a lot of things that we call pseudoscience, you would be surprised that it might be that we call scientific and this, that, the other. And
can I stop sharing this?
Yeah, you can. These breakthroughs that we have in modern technology, you would be surprised how many of these things are actually influenced by ancient technologies that existed beforehand that we would very much call pseudo, right? So that's what I was really trying to say, and then it gets exploited, it gets capitalized on, and then other people basically are able to generate money off of it, and become well-known authors, and then we're still arguing whether or not it's pseudo or not. You know what I'm saying? So,
and you made me think about, like, Jane, this has nothing to do with Africa or my ancestors and my people who are there, because I do have African heritage. Obviously, I'm the progeny of the slave trade. I have to preface this, but I think about how some people do research, where I saw Gemini in the chat said they give the credit fully to the Asian cultures with the math. Africa has a great stake in that as well, though. They should have a stake in it at least. There's math going obviously back to Kemet, parts of all over Africa, not just Kemet, but first in Kemet. I was going to say, it depends for me. I want to hear from you all. For me, it depends on who's the scientist, who's doing the research. That depends on them. I don't blame science. I blame the scientist or the organization that goes and does this research, because are they being sensitive to how the spiritual practice is? Are they giving the people the credit, and are they not harming them and exploiting them, but actually promoting them, or at least respecting them, and making people more informed about their religions?
I can answer that question. Did you hear what he said? He said he was like, I just had to put a coconut under the bed or whatever, pay a few lepers, this, that, the other, whatever. Just to, you see how he just kind of blew off the practice behind the actual religion, and then he got back to the math.
Bingo. So right there, and I'm gonna hand it over to you, Sakina. I know you want to jump in. I was gonna say something also about how I was gonna say Jane Goodall, because she is she's a scientist that I always think of. Jane Goodall, when she goes, and all these other scientists who do exploration on and watch animals, actual animals. She was one of the famous scientists that went in and looked at watched the gorillas and was there with them. She gives more, or I see them giving more respect and more and trying to inform us more about the animals that they are so close to us than I see, for instance, this man going in with human beings, giving them credit. I see him literally, definitely, from looking at all this now, he's exploiting them. So I just wanted to say that this is fascinating. Scientists should go in and do this, but the way he's doing it and making money off of it, it's for me, it's egregious. It's very, I see exploitation. So we definitely need to keep putting spotlights on this. So thank you. Go ahead, Sakina. You wanted to say something.
Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna come back to this part later, but for me, I always like to get to the root of things as part of being into my field, which I'm retired. But dictionaries and encyclopedias is my thing, so I have to get into the heart of things, and so I'm always good for encyclopedias and dictionaries. And so this right here is a 1953 Columbia Viking Encyclopedia. And so this right here is one of a good source for colonization in America. And it's a good source for the literature and the history to travel moving forward. And so when we're going into the word, even into getting into capitalism, right? Because in business, capitalism, or the cap, is as far as you're gonna make in money at that job. And when you get to your cap, that's it. And so you might have to find you another job or create your own. So I'm gonna go back to that part later on, okay? But when we get into this, let the ancestors speak in the Medu Netter, and again, I give all this to Anika Daniels Ozazi, because it begins with the numeral part only. This is the only section I pulled out, because it said one of the significant artifacts to be uncovered in the recent years is it was a carved bone that was found in a fishing site, and it's a Ushango bone, Zari, and it was in Zari, Central Africa. And the bone tool handle, which has been dated approximately 6,500 to 9,000 BCE, and the notches sequentially arranged definite patterns, which a bit of a quartz placed into a narrow cavity in the head. And so it moves forward and it tells you on how to do the math and all of that. But I'm not going to get into that because, again, if you took the Medu Netter class, then it will show you some of the purposes on how to do the multiplication to add up to these numbers. It's going to tell you how to get to the tens, the 20s, the hundreds. The signs and the symbols start to change. But not only that, when you get to the tens, the units, the hundreds, and the thousands, but then when King J got in here, when we get to the tens, you'll start to see these signs. And again, when I talked about another pattern, which they call shorthand, these would have been ooh signs, but they're not. These are tens. But over here, King J was talking about, these are the symbols for tens or zeros. So the ones that this young man was talking about, now they're with the zeros and the hundreds. But over here, they're single. And over here, they start to change with more zeros. So when you start to learn how to do the math with it, because we know Herodotus couldn't read, but he sure could count. So now when you learn the math, you can do the math. So 20 with the 2 U's upside down with 200 has the 2 zeros with the lines. So now we know how this math is calculated, but how do you add it up? It gets different because you have to learn how to do the math, because these 2 lines from the 2 U's to the 2 twirls, right? But again, this is not that. So when you have to learn how to do the meta-netta, because again, the years between these two, when you think you know how somebody did, going off of a sign and symbols when there was no language, but this was a form of a written language, but it was a written verbal language that you had to sound out, because there was no actual verbiage. So you sounded out this animal or language, because the meta-netta, let me show you another copy. Because you're going into, well, yeah, they're saying copy. So you're going into this kind of language, right? And you have to transcribe it in order to translate it. And sometimes with all of that, and then when did it get to America? The 1611 Bible might have been transcribed in 1611, but where did it go before it got to America?
Okay, sis, is this going to be part of your lesson that you're going to do with Sonnetter?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I was just trying to bring that. That's only my piece to this discussion.
No. I just,
wonderful.
It sounded similar to what you were talking about, you know, when you said you were going to talk about the Bible and bring out some information. And by the way, when is that? When are you going to do that?
I said it for the 7th.
Oh, the 7th, right? Okay.
But, so
it was a good discussion, and but
let her finish Genesis.
Say he's putting it to a computer and taking it. I get that part, the disrespect and all of that, but the math and these bones and taking it from our ancestors and not giving them their credit, and even to create a number that you didn't even create, that always existed. I'm really, you know, I'm appalled.
Yes.
Because that's even saying that the book itself, Let the Ancestors Speak. You even taking that.
Yes, thank you so much.
What I was gonna say is that
Thank you, Sakina.
It's crazy how they took this divination system, and said, okay, it was based in that sand divination system, which really.
Oops. Oh, Genesis, come back, Lord. I was trying to get rid of that thing that she had up there. Oh, Lord. I kicked her out because I thought that she was screen sharing. Damn. Come back, Genesis. I don't even know if she knows I kicked her out. But
well, it took the whole math system, not just the divination system, the mathematics system, period.
Oh, wow. Genesis, thank you. Genesis, I didn't know that was your, when I remember I was trying to get rid of that thing you were saying and it kicked you out. Sorry. You were saying, I'm sorry about that.
No, the biggest takeaway I want people to take from this, that from my standpoint, is that, you know, we're so quick to call things pseudoscience, but we don't know the origins. We don't know the influence it has on other things. I think that we need to, especially when we go into the things that get kind of demonized in cultures, when you go into certain things, like when it comes down into what you would call magic, when actually you realize that a lot of this magic that they are doing is really herbalism and understand herb. There's a science to how you break down herbs, how to take herbs. You could heal a person with an herb, or you could kill a person with an herb.
Wow.
But if and you got to know exactly how much to give them to do either one, you know. So and all those ancient practices were a part of our culture, and we call those magical things demonic and evil. You know what I'm saying? And then you got these people that are coming up now, and they're building computers off of them.
Right.
You understand
Amazing.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
You
wild.
got pharmaceutical companies extracting the herbs and creating pharmaceuticals out of them.
Well, that's always happening.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Genesis, I want to say thank you for bringing this attention to our attention. You're a visionary, and you are definitely joining us, all the visionaries in the audience, and the sister on the panel, all the visionaries on the panel. I do want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in for this particular stream. Hopefully, we can bring Baba Yashaba back with you to go more in-depthly on this particular topic, because we're not done. At the end of the day, I'm always going to bring it back to consciousness. Consciousness is being aware of your environment and your surroundings. And it goes onto a level of obviously being intelligent. So we need to be informed. We need to be aware of what's taking place, as we have many people in our community who are the progeny of slaves, by the way, my friend. I think Ramza asked me something very ridiculous, is if my immediate family are enslaved. Obviously,
Baba said he's on his way, because I was sending to the wrong person.
I have to end the stream though and do the I'm gonna go into the female genital mutilation stream.
Oh, okay.
So,
what time is that supposed to start?
Right after this, I was just gonna say, I just want to get back to what I was saying to Ramza, my friend. I'm the offspring of people who were enslaved, and it's encoded in my DNA. Even their trauma and their experiences are encoded in my DNA, my friend. So there's the answer to that. And then I was saying to Genesis, I would love to bring Baba Yashaba back. We can bring him back tomorrow.
Okay.
And touch on this. So get him to work out his
You know, I was sending it to the wrong. I was sending it to the wrong the wrong place.
Oh,
and, yeah. You know, I haven't been sick, so I've not been. My mind ain't been.
I know you haven't been. I thank you for coming in, because I know you haven't been feeling well. So this was important for the community. King J, did you want to say something? I saw you in the back. I didn't want to make you just sit there. Did you want to say something? I'm closing it out.
I did, but I didn't want to say anything that we already had talked about. Because I did jump off, so I don't know what I missed.
You missed the whole show.
I did. But I did enjoy it. I did have some information about the Kotoko people. I don't know if we mentioned that, but when you did ask the purpose of the fractal designs, I was able to find out that it has something to do with hierarchy and family. So the concept was, in like the Ifa tradition, they say each man wanted his son to be next to him. So the concept was building outward. So each circle or square contained a family.
Keep that. Come back tomorrow. Okay. King J, I'm going to schedule this for Baba Yashaba to come in and talk. We'll do a part 2 of this. That was good. See, that's good information too, because I want to know why. I mean, I can speculate. This is something I knew. I mean, again, I know the word fractal, but I didn't actually. I didn't know anything about it. Baba Yashaba, I'm so sorry that we're ending the stream now. Let me just let him on out of respect. Baba Yashaba, we would like to bring you back. Peace to you, Elder. I'm ending the stream now, but I didn't want to just have you in the background. I'm going to end the stream, and could you please come back tomorrow? I'll schedule a show and let you really go in detail about this particular topic of the ancient African spiritualities being used in mainstream technology.
You want me to come back tomorrow? Would you like me to come back tomorrow? You said.
I would be more than honored, but I would like for you to just quickly, not quick, I'm not rushing you, but introduce yourself to the audience and, just let them know what just give you a little bit time. I'm not going to just be like, bye, obviously, because you took the time to come
got
in.
That watery. We got that watery sound. I'm Bobby Ashabari. I've been a practitioner of the science of Ifa for 55 years. I've been initiated. Plus, I've elevated to an ascending master. I teach Ifa from the esoteric metaphysical standpoint, and the balance. And our system is based on a binary system that goes back 2.5 billion years.
Oh, wow. We have a delay a little bit, so I'm going to take my time and ask you this question. The information that we were looking at about the binary code that has been used.
We're getting an echo. I don't know what the problem is, but I'll try to restate my statement. I've been a practitioner for 50 plus years. I came into it around 73, and I've been initiated. I am what they call an ascendant master, and I teach it from a scientific perspective. Ifa is not a religion. It is one of the oldest principles known to mankind, and I've gone back 2.5 billion years of existence. I listen to a lot of people, a lot of our scholars. They talk about Kemet and all. That's no attack. But remember, we've got tribes that's older than Kemet. There's a group called the Sand people, the North people. They go back to around 63,000 years. When I was with Dr. Ben and Dr. Barry Sango and LaRon Bennett and also Ivan Sertiman, most of us thrived around Kemet because it seemed to be the time, but we are much older. Matter of fact, my beloved goddess, they found a young man's DNA. His name is Albert Perry. His DNA go back 340,000 years. He's attached to the Cameroon. He lived in South Carolina. So there's documents that not only are we the oldest, we are the scientists and orchestrator of everything that exists on this planet, even to the calendar. It was the Lubombo from the Lubombo Mountain that the Aquilon, I call them our sister from Aquilon designed the first calendar. That science is being used. That's where the Greeks got the stolen idea about a zodiac. It was the goddesses of out of the Lubombo Mountains that created the first calendar based on the moon and the menstrual period. It's actually 13 months, not 12 months. So our science is everywhere. We've been played to believe that we had nothing, but we are the orchestrator and originator of everything that makes life what life is or enhance the quality of life. And I don't know if I did.
All right, so we're gonna do is, we're gonna have you come in tomorrow so you can break a lot of this stuff down, and hopefully, you might be getting a storm out there, because I know your sound and everything is kind of bad, and your image looks like real blurry. So, I know that the weather's been kind of bad out in Louisiana and in Texas, so that's probably why it's kind of looking kind of bad right now. So.
Oh, yes, but I think that your information, Baba, if you can hear me, we have a really bad delay. I am going to bring you in, if we could bring you in the early afternoon tomorrow. I would love to sit down and hear all of this history from you, Elder. Can you do that for us tomorrow?
I will look forward to it, and I'll be prepared.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to finally meet you, and you are a fountain of information and history that we need to dip into as people who call ourselves conscious in the community. So,
well, yeah, Baba, listen, how old are you, Baba? Baba's 79 years old, okay?
79.
Like, please don't.
But Baba's 79, he's still
79.
getting on the computer, so y'all gotta bear with him. He's still getting on the computer at 79 and kicking the knowledge. So
All right.
shout out to Baba.
Peace and love to our elders. Thank you, Baba. We will see you tomorrow. I want to hear more about this topic. This is an amazing topic, though, to see that this information has been.
Definitely.
Yes. So peace to the audience. Tune in right after this. We're going to do a panel on the practice of circumcision. I know it's for the not the faint at heart, and it is an adult conversation. It's a medical conversation, not medical misinformation, and a cultural conversation. Let me just ask Baba really quickly. Are you familiar with anything as far as how women in Africa are being dealing with that particular situation where because of Islam, they're dealing with female genital mutilation or
I can barely hear you understand. I would
worry
love
about
to
it.
get that where I can get a clear.
Yeah, we'll do this tomorrow. We'll talk this. We'll stick with the binary code with the elder, and we'll get to talking about the FGM right after this stream. I'm going to go ahead and end it and say thank you so much.
Yeah, like I said,
y'all beautiful. We look forward to communicating with y'all on tomorrow.
Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll get you the link. We'll do all the background stuff. Everybody, don't go anywhere. Click the link for the new show that I'm going to start right now after this stream. I'm not even going to drop the song. Peace and love to the darkest minds of the light, to the house of consciousness, and to the visionaries.
Yes. Peace.
Peace.